What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. One of the biggest complaints with the UFC lately, and more than just lately, for a long time, really ever since the Apex has become a big thing, since COVID, bad, just awful quality fight nights have been a common factor in the UFC's, yearly schedule. And they've really sucked the life and the fun out of, for so many fans of the sport. When you have fight nights, where the main event is Tybor versus Spivak, or Angela Hill, Mackenzie Dern, just awful cards. And you have, all these early prelims on it, but these guys are never going to do anything. The UFC has lowered the barrier of entry so they can fill a fight night almost every weekend. So, these fighters, they're not good. They shouldn't even be in the UFC that make up most of these cards. And they're just there to put bodies in the cage, basically, in the octagon. And I think with how bad some of these fight nights have been, it's kind of just like, you see one of these fight nights, you're like, all right, I'll watch UFC next week. Just, you don't want to think about it because it's that bad. And I get it. As a really, hardcore fan like myself, I love this sport a lot. I watch it a ton. Some of these fight nights, if I have an obligation, something I have to go to, I'm okay skipping it, which usually that's never the case. I don't care what's really going on unless obviously I have to be there for some super important reason. I want to watch these cards, but some of these fight nights, it's like, I don't blame people for not wanting to watch these pieces of shit. They're awful. But in the upcoming couple months, and very soon, we're getting some solid fight night, guys. Solid to great fight nights that have compelling matchups, meaningful fighters, decently big names, and just, fights that mean actual stuff to the division. They're actually important to the title picture. And I want to go into some of these fight nights because I could shit on the UFC a lot with fight nights. I probably have. But I want to give the UFC some praise for these upcoming fight nights and go through them real quick. September 7th, UFC Fight Night, Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. I forgot exactly where this fight night's taking place because I know for a fact it's not the Apex. I forgot exactly where it's taking place though. But this is a banger main event, guys. This is a huge main event. Gilbert Burns, if he ever wants to sniff a title shot ever again, he has to win this fight. And for Sean Brady, he's lost to Bilal, has aged amazingly, but imagine he gets finished by another kind of top 5 guy. There's gonna, a lot of people are gonna think Sean Brady's overrated. And if Sean Brady wins this fight in impressive fashion, he's probably one fight away from a title, debatably. And if Gilbert Burns wins, I don't really know where he goes because, Bilal kind of beat the dog shit out of him. Not like a total ass whooping, but Gilbert Burns had nothing for Bilal Muhammad in that fight. So it's interesting to see where he goes, but still, he remains in that top 5, which is a huge deal for his career because, I forgot exactly how old Burns is, but he's not like, he's not like a younger guy. Sean Brady's a lot younger, I believe. So it's just, this is a huge fight with title implications and career implications on the line. You move down the card a little bit. Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. I know it's a women's fight, so people are gonna hate on it, but it's actually important to the division, though. It's actually kind of a meaningful fight. Steve Garcia versus Kyle Nelson, decent fight. Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. I think that's gonna be a really fun fight. Costa was able to get his hands on Steve Erceg. Matt Schnell got knocked out cold by Steve Erceg. But overall, I think it's gonna be a fun fight. Trevor Peek versus I'm going to butcher his last name. I'm not even going to try it. I'm not going to try it. I'm done butchering bad names for you guys here. But for the full breakdown predictions, we'll have his name right, but I don't want to butcher it right now. But these are actual UFC quality fighters. Now, do all these fights have a ton of meaning to the divisions? No, but they're actual quality, which in too many fight nights we don't get anymore. So props to the UFC for making Burns versus Brady a solid fight night, which I watch all these fights. I'm going to be like, okay, we got actually kind of a legit matchup up here. Because not every fight needs to be ultra meaningful, ultra big name, ultra important, because I get it, it's free, it's a fight night, it's not a pay-per-view. But at least give me UFC quality. You give me a really solid main event and 4 UFC quality fights. I think most of the time people are going to be really happy. But let's move on to, so that card's September 7th. Let's move on to September 28th. In Paris, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. Banger main event. I kind of wish Benoit was fighting someone maybe a little higher ranked. I think it'd be even more of a banger, but I get it. He got a jump, he got a big jump in the top 5 against Poirier. Now he needs to get another win before getting back in the top 10. I totally get it. I think Moicano makes a lot of sense. This would be a huge win for his career, and Benoit Saint Denis will be getting if he flatlines Renato, which I think he probably knocks him out, TKOs him, I mean, Benoit St. Denis, he's going to be there for another, they're going to put him in the top 5 again. I don't know, maybe not necessarily a top 5 opponent, but he's going to get a top 7, top 6 opponent. So it's a huge fight for him. Moicano, he's kind of had, I believe, a little bit of a career resurgence. This is a big fight for him if he wants to get in the top fight. So amazing lightweight matchup. The co-main event, Nassourdine Romanov versus Brendan Allen. Allen stopped ducking the fight, said he agreed to go to Paris. And, Imavov debatably deserves a title shot. Brendan Allen, I think Brendan Allen's very overrated, but this is still an amazing, compelling matchup. If Nassourdine wins this fight, especially in good fashion, you kind of have to give him a title shot. He deserves it. Brendan Allen, if he wins this fight, he proves a lot of haters, including myself, wrong. I mean, listen, I don't hate on Brendan Allen for no reason. He says a lot of dumb shit. I think he's very overrated. His resume is shit. But, still, if he wins this fight, Brendan Allen's a lot better than I thought he was. So this is a huge fight for the middleweight division. And the winner of this fight is going to be in store for a massive fight next. You got Ian Kudalaba versus, Ivan Ersland. Decent fight. Faris Ziam versus Matt Frevola. Good fight. These are actual UFC fighters. As I said, I'm going to say this probably even more, but the fight nights that we've been getting, some of these guys, they're not even UFC caliber guys on the main card. And then think about how bad the prelims and early prelims are. They're horrific. You actually have quality fight after quality fight, and the co-main and main event are bangers. You go to UFC Fight Night. I want to go a little later, though. A little later into the year. You have UFC Fight Night, Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Tora, October 12th. Unfortunately, it's in the Apex. Now, do I think this card's going to have a great main card? Probably not. I don't think it'll be as good as Paris, and maybe it's as good as the Burns one. But at least we're getting a banger main event. If Brandon Royval wins this, he's next in line for a title. I mean, you kind of have to give him another shot at Pantoja. Pantoja's still the champ. And for Tyra, if he wins this, he's definitely in line for a title shot. Obviously, we have to see how stuff goes. You got Kai Kara France, got Asakura probably fighting for the title next. So, it's not going to happen immediately. But the winner of this fight, it's ultra compelling to the division, which is what we need. Spivak Tybura is not compelling to the division. They're cans. They're bums. Moving on, and this fight night, this was supposed to be on UFC Noche, but they moved it off. You have Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez, October 19th. Unfortunately, it's in the Apex. I would have loved this card, this fight to still be on Noche, but it's not. It's whatever. I mean, Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez, guys. This is a banger fight, and this might be a hot take. If you had a pay-per-view with an unbelievable main event, and let's say like a really great, like a Merab O'Malley, and then an awesome featured fight, you could put this as the co-main event, I would have zero issue with it. That's how good Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez is. I mean, Anthony Hernandez coming off a war, I believe, against Roman Kopylov. Michel Pereira, when is he, when is Michel Pereira ever not in an exciting fight? When are these guys ever boring? These are incredible fighters. This is meaningful to the middleweight division. And then winner of this fight is going to get a big fight in the top 10. And I will, these are two guys that I love to see get pushed towards a title. Obviously, I'm not saying speed rush or anything, but I like Michel Pereira, Anthony Hernandez, a couple fights out of a title shot in the middleweight division. That's only good. That's only a good thing in my opinion. So when you look at all these fight nights, and, I said kind of early in the video, I shit a lot on the UFC. I shit a lot on Dana White. I shit a lot on the UFC. And to be fair, it's all meaningful. I'm not doing it for no reason. But I will give praise when it's deserved. And I'm giving praise right here. I look at these fight nights. I'm like, these are awesome fight nights. I don't want to miss these. I'm willing to cancel plans to watch these. These are really compelling, good matchups. It's unfortunate that two of them I mentioned, the ones on October 12th and October 19th are in the Apex. And we don't know how good the main cards are, but at least the main events are bangers, especially Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez. I cannot wait for that fight. I still wish that fight was on UFC Noche, but it's not. It's whatever, but I cannot wait for that fight. So when I look at these, and, if I'm the UFC, we need to lower back the amount of events we have per year. I know that means less UFC every weekend, but if that means not only do the pay-per-views to be able to get better, if we have less events, 10, 20% less events, the average fight night is so much more compelling. Think about it. On the average fight night, or on every fight night, you're going to get a matchup like a Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. A super compelling matchup in a division. You're going to get that. And I'm willing to have multiple weekends where we don't have UFC, with a Tybura and Spivak fighting for, I'm willing to have less of that, to have more of this. And think about it. Imagine a card with, all right, let's say you had Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira, and then co-main event you had Tybor Spivak. Obviously, still, Spivak Tybor is never going to be some banger fight, but as a co-main event on a fight night, that's something I can really get behind, because at the end of the day, it is, I guess, a top 12 fight in the heavyweight division, even though most of the heavyweight division, even ranked guys, are just cans. You know, that as a co-main event, and then with some, 3 other solid UFC quality fights, that is so much more acceptable. Fans will have so much more fun watching this. So, but guys, in the next couple months, I want to give the UFC some praise. I'm really looking forward to these fights. And it's good for the sport, guys. It's good for the sport to give quality free content to its fans. You know, there's a lot of fans that buy pay-per-views and probably see these fight nights are just like, I don't want to watch these. Like the fans that buy pay-per-views, especially, who have been watching the UFC for such a long time, and you don't have to buy pay-per-views. Anyone who just watches the UFC deserves quality fight nights, because that's just part of it. Not every good card can't just be a pay-per-view. $80 is a lot of money. Not everyone can do that. You know, streaming can be weird sometimes, but hypothetically, you're supposed to buy it. That's what the UFC wants. And the UFC is going to demand $80 for pay-per-views, which give these guys who spend that money something free, something that's quality. And this is quality. And I really hope, this is not going to happen, but I hope we get out of the Apex soon. And, going into 2025, this type of fight night becomes the norm. I doubt it. I will not bet my life on it. Guys, do not get your expectations high. I think we're just in a solid, couple months, we got a couple lucky months for fight nights. That's how I look at this. But I really hope this can continue, because I'm looking at this right now and I'm just awesome. I'm not even talking about pay-per-views. We're not even talking about UFC 308, 307, which is a disaster. God, why did I even bring up 307? But overall though, guys, this is great for the UFC that we actually have, the next 4 fight nights are actually quality, actually important to the division, and throughout the fight card have quality UFC caliber fights on them. So that makes me really happy. Let me know what you guys think about the fight nights we discussed today. Which one is your favorite? Do you think the UFC is turning a corner of fight nights? Obviously, I doubt it. I think we're just in a lucky, span of time right now with these fight nights, but let me know if you disagree and why you disagree. But make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.